hottest R&B. It's the all-new Vena Soul. It's the Julian Show. It's Julian. And I've got a special guest with me right now, Janine Hernandez, best-selling author, book coach, speaker, mentor. What else you do?
That pretty much sums it up. I'm also a mom.
Yes. What's it like being a mom but you got a teenager now, right?
I have a teenager. It's quite interesting. All the high school things. Remembering my childhood and the things that I did and hoping he doesn't do the same thing.
Now, that's got to be horrifying.
It is very horrifying.
Because you know what's coming. You know what he might be up to. But at the same time, like, oh, now you have to try to talk about it and deal with it. How do you deal with it?
It's not if, it's when it's going to happen. I just talk about it. I'm very blunt. So whether he likes it or not, we speak about things.
As uncomfortable as it may be, you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it help him? Like, how does he really take to some of the talks and things of this nature?
Yeah, he does. He listens. But we talk about the weird stuff, but then we also talk about like money and business and mindset. So I think he's pretty blessed.
Yeah. I wish I had some of that too. How important is it to you that he knows a lot about the business side and all of that?
I think that it's not taught in school, so someone needs to teach him. And I'm just setting him up in case he wants to one day be an entrepreneur. He has like the perfect example from me.
Right.
Yeah.
Looking at you doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing a lot of things. Your books. I met you before, and you had just started. I think you were on another podcast before, and I meant to look at the book, but it was your first book. What was the name of that book again?
It was my second book. It was called Feathers in the Sky.
Feathers in the Sky.
Yeah, that was 2018. 2016-ish. Maybe.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, in between there.
Yeah. But I remember you said you had the book. And so since then, how much have you grown? How much has happened since then?
It took off. So I'm working on my 8th book. I became a #1 best-selling author. I have a book publishing academy. I coach over 80 people on how to write, publish, and launch their books. I do editing. I do ghostwriting, events. It's just never ending.
Never ending. So what was your inspiration? Like, when did you know that you were really into the writing and books and things like that?
9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
9.
So when you were 9 years old, did you just took out a notepad and start writing stories that was in your head or anything?
I was always writing. I would always write, like, I had notebooks with my friends and we would write to each other. And then I was always writing poetry. So I had like a poetry book and I just was always writing something. And ever since I was like 9, I would tell my parents, I'm going to be an author when I grow up. Like, you know how kids are like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. And then I was like, I want to be an author. And everyone's like, okay.
Like, what? Yeah.
So weird. Yeah.
Do you still have some of that stuff from your childhood that you've written?
Mm-hmm. I have a big binder. I used to like type it out and then print it and put it in my binder.
Yeah.
I have it.
Is there any of that stuff that you've used now for in your professional, or is it still kind of?
Yeah, so my first book, which was poetry, I put a lot of it in there.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot that I haven't published. It's just sitting in a binder.
Thinking about it, or is it just one of those historical things that you just go back and look at?
Honestly, so I had no, it's probably just going to stay there. I did have a second book. It was all poetry that I wrote like in my 20s, and I lost it on a hard drive. And so after that, I was like, okay, we're going to put it to the side, and we're going to just do other types of books.
Right.
Maybe one day.
Maybe
I'll
one
pick it
day.
up.
That'll work. So we were talking a little bit about your focus, because you had mentioned you had so many other things, going on. What really made you just stop everything else and just really focus on being an author and things like that?
I would say about 10 years ago, I had dinner with a millionaire. I met him at a Christmas party. He introduced himself. He told me he was a millionaire, whatever. I think I had asked him, how much money do you make if you have that car? I was very blunt. And he was just like, I make $1 million, So he told me what he did. And he's like, let's go out for lunch. And I'm like, okay. We had lunch. And he told me you can't be the jack of all trades and the master of none.
Boom. Yeah.
And at the time, I listened to him, but I didn't really listen to him. And it took me 10 years to finally understand that I can be a creative and love to do multiple different things. But if I don't focus on one thing, I will consistently never be the master of any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really sit with myself because I was doing women's retreats, Airbnbs. I was doing a bunch of different things. And I had to really sit with myself and say, the reason why your book publishing academy business is where it is, I mean, it's doing great, but I know that I could be way further along. And that's because I do so many other things that are not helping me with this mission to move forward. So that was it.
That was it. So what caused... Because I know with you talking about that, I know the reasons why I try to do so many other things. What was the reason that you felt like you had to do so many other things?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm just good at a lot of things. Like, I love to paint. I was selling paintings at one point. I'm a creative and I love to create different things. And it just, I don't know. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So I can make that into a business. Like, I can make money doing that, so that's how my mind works. But I had to really just focus on like, okay, you have to step away from the women's retreats and really just focus on your book publishing academy. And if you go all in with that, imagine the results that you're going to get.
That's for real, though. That's for real because, when you've laser sharp focused and you've seen the results already,
mm-hmm.
that's pretty amazing. So when you decided to do that, were you maybe burnt out perhaps, or just one of those situations where you just saw your business not going as far?
Honestly, it was intuition, and it happened just recently. I would say April of this year, I made the decision. It's just my intuition and listening to God and just saying, okay, I need to focus on one thing. So I let go of the retreats. I let go of the Airbnb. I let go of all the other things that I was doing. And I made the decision, just focus here. And now I look at like just the past 6 months of all these things that I've implemented into my business. It's inevitable that the return on investment is going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about your coaching, the book coaching. It's a mentorship, right? For those who want to write a book.
Yeah, so it's an online course that teaches you how to write, publish, and launch your book. It's over 80 videos. It's 9 modules, and it comes with a follow-along workbook. And then I do group coaching where everyone hops on to a Zoom call twice a month, and I answer their questions, offer support. They can book one-to-one consultations with me if they need additional support, but mostly everything that they need is in my curriculum.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay. And now, how long you been doing this for? Has it been 10 years?
No, 8 years.
8 years with this.
Oh my God, yeah, about 8 years.
So how many of your students have gone on to have very successful books?
We have 37 published authors. We have 13 bestsellers currently. And I would say out of them, I think I have a good 7 that are like all in. They have left their jobs. They're making lots of money. They're getting booked. They're doing amazing things. They're on the news. They're like doing
all from your
stuff. Yeah.
How does that make you feel when you see them blowing up like that?
I cry sometimes because it's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
To see them be successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And was this all from you just making that decision to focus?
Yeah, so when I first started my business back in 2015, I only focused on myself and my books. And I realized that it's not about me, it's about we.
Yeah.
And when I shifted from me to the community of people that I could impact, everything started to change for me. I started to get more traction, more visibility, and but I try not to focus on myself. Everything is like, how can I help them be better? Like, what can I do to bring value to them?
Yeah, exactly. And it's working. I think most entrepreneurs have to have that mindset of how can I help, a person? If whatever I have, how can I help them? And so do they reach back out to you? Do they contact you after they've graduated and gone on to do great things?
Oh, they're still, once they graduate, they're part of the family forever. So yeah, no. Yeah. So I see they tag me on stuff, they update me. It's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. So you've been doing this for a while, and a lot of the other things you were doing, you mentioned you speaker. So are you speaking to just mainly to like the book audience, or how is that business working for you?
So I, like, for example, this upcoming month, I'll be speaking to a university. I don't know if I can mention their name, but I'm speaking to a university, over 200,000 students. And so they're not my target audience, but somebody in there wants to write a book, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're all academic students. So yeah, I just kind of speak to organizations, because you never know, anybody from all walks of life might want to write a book.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a podcast too about this, and so how has your podcast helped your academy business?
So my podcast, it used to be called the Janine Hernandez Experience. It was about everything: book publishing, life, authors, like all of it. But I decided to rebrand and focus again on one thing, which is book publishing. And I actually just had the first episode last week. So we're fairly new as far as the rebrand, but I really hope that this is going to reach a wider audience of people that are like on Apple, Google, Spotify. I think it's going to help for people that are looking specifically for book publishing.
And there's still a lot of people out there. I've thought about it myself. I have a cousin that is dealing with that, and I've always thought about it myself. So even people who are thinking about it, I think it's a great way to get that into their ear, even if they're not. Yeah, like what you said, mentioned the target audience, but somebody's been thinking about it. And you said 200,000. Is that like all at once?
No, that just how many are enrolled.
They are enrolled. Okay, it's been right saying like
it's a lot of people.
They no,
but numbers, like out of 200,000, only probably like 5% will show up. So
yeah, gotcha. Well, that's exciting. So now you doing your podcast out of your home, and you mentioned the home you have, and I'm jealous. So tell everybody where you live.
So
how you live.
I have an RV. I have a travel trailer. And it has always been my dream to have one. Honestly, I always wanted to get one and then travel the U.S. and work from my laptop. And during the pandemic, it was a perfect time because my son was getting, I guess, homeschooled. Everybody was working from home. But the national parks closed, so we kind of got stuck. And then my business took off. Everyone wanted to write a book during the pandemic. And so I've been I have literally no downtime to go travel in it, but I do live in an RV and I love it.
Yeah, it's got to be so much freedom. Like you're able to, do you move it around so often? How does that work?
No, so I mean I can, but I don't because I'm just so busy. Honestly, it takes a lot of time to you have to hitch, unhitch, you have to remove everything, disconnect, it's just a lot of manual labor. It's probably like a 2-hour, 3 hours a day thing if you are moving, and ain't nobody got time for that right now.
Yeah, nobody got time for that. That's a lot of work.
It is.
So are you from Arizona?
No, I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got family out there. My brother-in-law's from there too. Somerville?
Sounds familiar.
Somewhere up there somewhere. So was it a culture shock when you moved here?
Oh, yes, it was. I moved here when I was 14. It was a culture shock.
Wow. What was it like for you coming here? You said 14. What was it like for you?
Okay, so I grew up in predominantly Hispanic and Black community. I would say middle class to lower class community. And so moving here, we moved to Mesa where it's predominantly all one culture. And so it was very, very shocking. When I started high school, when I got here, I think I was one of 7 colored people.
Really?
And so it was a culture shock. It was very interesting. I hated it for the first, I would say, 5 years that I was here.
Really?
But I love it now. I love Phoenix.
Good. I grew up in Iowa, so it was not a culture shock for me when I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, it's the
Same thing?
Yeah.
Hello.
I was actually a little disappointed. I was like, dang, it's the same old thing.
No, it was rough for me.
Wow, but you got through that, and you would say you're better for it. I would say, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it was the best decision my parents ever made for
Yeah.
us was to move here, because they opened up so much opportunities for us, and got us out of a like hometown that was not, the best, and yeah, so I'm really grateful for that.
Fantastic. So, other than your speaking engagement that you said you have, what else do you have coming up, or what's coming down the pipeline for you?
So I am getting ready to launch a new program. I can't say the details yet, but it's going to help writers that are looking to self-publish their book. They'll get access to me where I can provide them some more support and help them. I will be making the announcement soon. But other than that, just focusing on the podcast and focusing on growing my author community.
All right. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you for coming by your busy schedule, because, yeah, you're doing a lot, but
Yeah.
you're doing it great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Janine Hernandez, everybody. Give it up for her. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much. I
The Julian
appreciate it.
Show, absolutely. 5 o'clock free ride, everybody, is coming up next.